That wasn't too bad. Hey Susan, what's up? Let me know. Let me know real quick if you can hear me okay. And we'll do a camera test here in a second. But mainly, let me know if you can hear me talking okay. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, good. Good deal. And we're early tonight. We've got a handful of people on, and believe it or not, we're 5 minutes before live time. I've got all my stuff prepped. I've got the computer on. I've got all the cameras working. I still do not have my live chat window on the computer, but I've got my iPad here. So I don't that disappeared on the last, and it all looks good. Okay, good. Those flies you've been posting look fantastic. The ones that with the Kelly Gallup feathers that you've been using, they look really really good. Hey Mike, what's up, bud? I guess uh, I guess you heard about Terry. That's that's hard to believe. Just answering a quick email here for a customer. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry to hear it too. I talked to Marianne, and apparently it was a the last couple of weeks were not good. So that's not it's never fun, never fun for sure. All right, we'll give it a few more minutes, maybe get a few people. Oh, it's not even 7 o'clock yet. So, believe it or not, we're, hey, the fly tying Santa, what's up, bud? We're, yet last weekend and today we're starting to already get ready for the shows coming up this year, show season 2025. Um, it's crazy to believe it's that time of year already, but here we are. It's it's coming up quick. Yeah, you know, we'll blink our eyes and it'll be Thanksgiving, and I'll be up catching steelhead over Thanksgiving, and then it'll be Christmas, and then it'll be show season. So it's going to be here before we know it. We've got a we've got a pretty aggressive schedule. There's one weekend where we will be in, I believe, 3 different places all in the same weekend. So that's going to be a pretty hectic weekend. We've got a couple where we're in 2 different places, but we're doing our best to get out there so you guys can come and see us. Um, we've got some pretty cool products that we're working on. So some of them are. One of them is done and is in the package, sitting on the shelf, ready to go. And we've got a couple of big ones that we're working on, and I hope I can get them all finished in time. Um, I don't know if I'll have everything finished um, for the for the opening show in Virginia this year, but we should be unveiling some pretty cool stuff throughout the season, and then of course we'll do our limited edition vise, which we've got it narrowed down to 2, and I know what I want to do, and I'm not. I think Michelle and I are kind of torn as to which direction we're going to go. Whether we're going to do, you know, one idea or the other idea. So we'll have to see. They're both super super cool. And I say it every year we do a limited edition. Like, this is the best one we've ever done, and I believe that. So if we can do, you know, this year even, you know, close to what I'm thinking of, it will be, either of these 2 will be some of the best ones. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a good season. Just tying flies and getting plans made on my end for shows. Yeah, that's for sure. Like I said, it'll be here before we know it. It's crazy. It's like this is our slow time of year. Say July through, say about now, July, August, and September are 3 slowest months of the year, and it certainly doesn't feel like it. Trust me, I worked pretty much all day today assembling parts. Michelle worked pretty much all day today organizing the shipping area, and we changed some things around to streamline that a little bit. So there's certainly never a dull moment here. So all right, guys, let's get started. So we sent out the constant contact. Hopefully you all got that. If you didn't get it, you can sign up on our for our mailing list. There's a mailing list tab on the website, and we send periodically, you know, things, where we're going to be, what we're going to do. We announce this event on there. You know, what shows we're going to. So we sent out the constant contact, and I had asked people to give us some idea of some patterns that they would like to see, or some topics that they would like to cover on these live events. So I've got a list here, and it's in my phone, and I'm gonna pull it up tonight. And this was by far probably 4-1 Euro Nymphs people had asked for. It was without a doubt the most popular type of fly, which is I thought was kind of funny because we've done Euro Nymphs before. I actually think I've done them twice, but they're popular. I know a couple of the videos that we've posted on the channel have been Euro Nymphs. Shannon, one of our ambassadors, posted a way cool Euro pattern there last week or maybe the week before. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I love tying nymphs. I am a nymph fisherman. I would honestly rather catch fish on nymphs that rather than any other way, including dry flies. So I'm always down to tie nymphs. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 patterns prepped tonight. These are my 5 favorite Euro style nymphs. But just to give you guys an idea of some of this stuff we'll be working on. Let's see here. Euro nymphs we're going to do tonight. We had extended body trout flies, dry flies that using the extended body tool. That's one we'll do one night coming up. Trout streamers using EP fiber. I love EP fiber. More so, I use it more so in the saltwater than I do in the fresh, but definitely that has some crossover abilities to trout and smallmouth. So we'll get that in. Intruders, we will do that using both the tube fly and the shank jaw. One of the new products that I was just talking about kind of fits into that, working with the intruders and how we do the dubbing loop and so forth. So that's when we unveil that product. It's shortly thereafter we'll do the intruders. Midges, that's a cool one because I do love fishing midges, and there's tons and tons and tons of midge patterns. Poppers, we've got some cool panfish and some smallmouth poppers that we can do. Smallmouth flies was another one. So that, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 different topics there. And if you guys want to see something, put it down in the comments. Shoot me an email. Send me a message on Facebook. You know, if there's something you want to see, be it a particular pattern or a product that you want us to do, we'll be happy to accommodate that. So these are all going to be on jig hooks. These are size 14. They're Arex, and I don't know the number because we buy them in bulk. Let me swap this camera out real quick. We'll get to the close camera and we'll start tying. No, don't hit cancel, hit OK. There we go. Okay, so let me know if that looks good, if that's in focus and so forth. Like I said, we're going to be tying on jig hooks. These are all, I believe these are size 12 jig hooks. Reason being is I generally tie on bigger hooks when I'm demoing, just so that everybody can see them. You can tie any of these patterns on multiple size hooks down to 16 or even 18. Euro nymphs are pretty popular on the jig style hooks, and that's why I picked those. These are Arex. It's a barbless jig hook, and I apologize, I don't have the number here because we buy them in bulk and they come in bulk packaging, and I can't find the package right now. But it is an Arex jig hook. So the first one we're going to tie, this is my all-time favorite nymph, and it is a Frenchie, and I did this one not too long ago. But it definitely is a pattern that should be in your box, and it's definitely one that we can revisit here. So gold bead, that is 6/0. I'm sorry, that's 8/0 Semperfli classic waxed, and we have some 3mm bright gold wire that we're going to use as a rib. So we're going to tie, actually I got a little ahead of myself here. We're going to tie the thread on, we're going to wrap back to about the point of the hook. I'm going to tie the wire on the side of the hook facing me. That's very important. And we're going to tie back all the way to the back of the hook. Okay. And I'll explain that tying the wire on the side of the hook facing me here in a second. So we're going to get a small clump of pheasant tail. The way I'm going to tie this one, you definitely want a good pheasant tail with some long fibers on it, because we're going to do the tail and the body with the same clump of pheasant tail. So we're going to measure out the tail, and we're going to go from the eye of the hook to the point. A lot of people go the length of the hook shank, which is fine. I tend to go a little bit shorter on these. I think it gives a better overall look, and also it gives you a little bit of extra length to play with to get all of this body material on. So we're going to present the material to the hook at a 45-degree angle. We're going to do a soft wrap, we're going to do a medium wrap, and then we're going to do a hard wrap and pull down. And if you do that right, it will walk that pheasant tail right up on the top of the hook shank. Okay, now we're going to fold this back, and we're going to wrap carefully back over top so we cover up our tie-in point. And I'm going to come up here, and we're going to use our thread to build a little bit of a taper. So we're just going to go back and forth, and then we're not going back as far each time, and we're just going to use this thread to build up a little taper. Now don't go too crazy on that point, that part of it, because remember, you're going to be wrapping material over top of this. So if you build up this giant bulked up underbody, however fat it is at this point, it's going to get fatter because you're going to put your pheasant tail and then ultimately your wire over top of that. So keep it under control. I know when you get to spinning on the vise, it's real easy to overshoot the runway. So just mind your bulk on your underbody. All right, so we're going to twist this just a little bit, just to kind of marry those all together, and then we're going to just walk this right up the shank of the hook. Now you got to navigate around that hook point a little bit, and there we go. And I use my my hackle pliers to hold this, because you gotta get pretty close to the point of the, or to the eye of the hook, and if you're holding that with your fingers, you might have a bit of a problem. Okay, so now I'm going to come and I'm going to get 3 good solid wraps behind this, and we'll just come in here with our scissors and we'll cut this off right flush to the body. This pattern, it is a tried and true. It is a what we call a box filler pattern. You can tie a bunch of them really quick. To be honest with you, I don't even really tie a regular pheasant tail anymore. I tie these, and I fish these, and I fish them for trout. I fish them for steelhead. This would be your quintessential clinger style nymph. We're going to finish this off with a little hot spot. So great pattern. Ed Hayes, nice looking hoodie. What's up, bud? Hey Jim, what's up? All right, so remember when I said to tie the wire on the side of the hook facing you? When you're working with tailing material and you tie your tail on, a lot of times you'll see people tie the tail on the top of the tie the wire on the top of the hook shank, and then tie the tail on top of that. And when they make their first wrap, and they pull it tight of the wire, it will walk the tail over to the far side of the shank of the hook. So if you tie the wire on the side of the hook facing you, remember we're counter wrapping this wire, so it's going to go under the shank of the hook. So if you do it that way, you come under the shank, navigate around the point, and you can see when I tension this, the first time I put tension on it is on the bottom of the hook shank, so it kind of protects your tail, and it keeps the wire from pulling the tail to the other side of the shank of the hook. By the time you get up onto the top, you've advanced past the tail, so it'll keep your tail centered and on the top, and it won't pull it around. So it's a little thing, but it's kind of a cool thing that just gives your patterns a little better appeal, so to speak. If the tail's over to the side, don't worry about it. It'll fish. The fish aren't going to care, but it just makes it look better. And you can see, instead of hand over hand wrapping, by turning the vise, we can get nice even wraps on our wire, nice even segmentation. Okay, so we'll, with the auto bobbin, we're right back in and ready to tie. We'll go 3 behind, 3 in front, and then I'll go 3 behind again. And then I should be able to just take this wire and just helicopter it, and it should break right at the head of the fly. Okay, so now we're going to finish this off. I kind of went with the tried and true, the shrimp pink. This is shrimp pink Senyo's laser dub. I do orange in this a lot. I've done chartreuse. Pink is kind of the OG, so that's kind of why I went with that. Do not need a lot of this stuff. Very, very small pinch. Okay, and we'll spin the vise. Touch the dubbing to the thread. Dubbing jumps out of my fingers up onto the thread. We're on a shank, or we're on a jig hook, so the thread needs to navigate around that down eye of the hook. That's why you see it kind of bouncing a little bit. So I got my dubbing on. I want to tighten it just a little bit, so I'm going to pinch the thread here, spin it, tighten that up just a tad, pull my bobbin off of my cradle, and just roll this right up onto the shank of the hook, and there you go. Such an easy pattern. If you're doing it with the pink dubbing, you may want to grab pink thread. Orange, close, it's what I had sitting here on the desk. I would definitely not have any problem fishing that, but generally you want to match your thread to the collar of, to what color the collar is. And let me get my aqua pliers here. There you go. That's the Frenchie. That is a quintessential Euro nymph. This is one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely love this fly. So there you go. Questions on that? Let me know. Hey Tim, sorry I'm late. I just got home. That's all good. Don't worry about it. Okay. Yeah, you were at you were doing a tying event or something, weren't you? So, all right, let's go right into the next pattern. This is not by any means a hard pattern to tie. This one, as far as Euro nymphs go, this one probably has the most materials in it of any other any of the flies that we're tying tonight. Good pattern, really good for if you're trying to do a stonefly type imitation. This is called the blowtorch. So same thread, just a different color. This is a 8/0 Semperfli classic waxed. Okay, and we're going to come down here. We'll lay down just a little thread base there. Look how easy that goes on. I'm going to come all the way to the back of the shank of the hook. first one, the original pattern I believe used red wool, kind of like it, like the original the woolly worm, where it's got a little red tag on it. We're going to substitute one of my favorite favorite products, this laser dub, and this is going to be in red. Oh, Rick Flink, hey, I owe you a phone call. I'm not ignoring you. I'm going to get in on that for sure. It's been a crazy week. I said before you came on, we're trying to get our show schedule. We're starting with that for this year, and hunting season opened up, and I've been in the tree the past handful of days, so it's been busy. All right, so I took this material and I just kind of pulled a little clump out, and I just pull it apart and then kind of put it back together. And basically what I'm doing, when it comes out of the pack, it's all kind of like mixed up and matted up, and this is kind of aligning the fibers to give me something that looks like this. Okay, and basically what we're going to do, we're just going to fold this in. Okay, come back up on top, and we're just going to tie this in like so, just so this is coming right off the back of the shank of the hook. Okay, and then we'll go back up to the front. Now this is not going to stay anywhere near that long. This is just a little hot spot. I figured, when aren't you crazy busy? Yeah, tell me about it. Sometimes I wonder. We'll just comb this out just to, there we go. And then what we'll do is we'll just grab all these fibers. We'll just come in and we're going to line them all up, and we just want a little bit of a tag sticking out of the back. So we'll just cut them off all at one length. Boom. That's it. That's all we want, is just that little bit of red tag on there. Okay? All right, so now our next material is going to be our old tried and true peacock herl. Love this stuff. Love this stuff. You guys hear me say that all the time. For a trout pattern, it's tough to not have peacock herl in it. That first fly that I did, that Frenchie, you could absolutely use this for the collar instead of the laser dub if you want a more natural, muted kind of color, as opposed to the brighter hot spot that you get with the laser dub. I absolutely can use that, but I love this stuff. So I've got 3 herls here. We're going to marry them together. We're going to clip off about the first inch or so, because that's the most brittle part. And we're going to tie these in. I'm going to go on my cradle. Every time we go on the cradle, we put a half hitch in. And I'm going to use the spinning function of the Norvise. Instead of wrapping this on as body material, I'm going to take this, I'm going to lay it out over the front of the hook, and then watch what happens right here. I'm going to wrap that on there, and we're making what takes a habitually not so durable material, and we've twisted it into a rope chenille, and as well wrapped the thread around the material. So now we've taken a kind of non-durable material and we've made it actually very durable. And we're going to wind this back. And if you're doing a Prince nymph or I think the last time I did a peacock, and when we were doing caddis flies, I did a peacock and partridge, I think it was, for a caddis. But you can do this anytime you're doing a herl body. You can use this technique. So we wrapped it all the way to the back. You can see I went over top of the tie-in for my hot spot, and then we're going to wrap it forward, and you can use this to kind of taper your body. And that looks good. So now I've got a little extra here, so I'm just going to grab the bottom, pinch that off, and I'll treat it like a dubbing loop, and we'll go 3 in front, 3 behind, 1 more in front to lock it in, and then we'll just come in here and we'll clip that off. Brandon Wicker, that is so cool. That's somebody new in the house, Brandon. I'm not familiar with you. It's good good to see you here. Glad you joined us. Okay, so there's my tail. There's my body. Last material for this. This is going to be a soft hackle type fly. Although it is a nymph, it is going to have a collar on it, and we're going to use some CDC feathers. CDC is the feather from the preening gland of a duck. So you see this a lot of times with in surface flies, dry flies, and so because it's from that gland, it's pre-treated with oil, so this stuff floats really well. But what it also does, because of the oils that are in this feather, when you sink it, the water can't kind of penetrate these, so it creates a bunch of little air bubbles around it, and it gives the pattern the kind of illusion of it's getting ready to emerge. It moves really well when it's sunken, and it doesn't really mat up to the body of the fly. So again, something that probably more commonly you see in a surface fly, in a dry fly, we're going to use it in a subsurface fly. I'm intrigued by the vise. Well, what do you tie on now, Brandon? Let us know. Okay, so I'm going to prep this feather. So I just clipped a little bit off of the end just to give me a tying point. Okay, you can see that. And we're going to lay that right up on the fly. We're going to tie in right behind the bead. And throw a half hitch in there. Remember, every time we go in the cradle, we're going to put a half hitch in. Hey, Norway, check that out. What time is it in Norway? Brandon Whitaker, Renzetti Traveler. Great vise, bud. Can't say a bad thing about it. Great vise and great company. Love the Renzettis, but their product won't do a lot of the things that we can do on this one. And you can see I'm just walking that feather right on there, and if you do it right, and if you have a good quality CDC feather, it will go right on with minimal matting and minimal twisting or losing of the fibers. Every once in a while you'll get one that's trapped underneath there, and you can just go in with your bodkin and pick it out. I think that's about enough. So with the auto bobbin, we'll just let it retract, and we're right back in and ready to tie. And now we want to kind of, with our fingers, kind of pull back on the feather, because we don't want to trap anything underneath when we're tying in. And then we're just going to come in here, and I'm just going to, you can very easily see the stem of the feather, and we're just going to glance that out of there. There you go. And see, you can see my air conditioner's running, which is kind of crazy because I'm sitting down here with a hoodie on with the air conditioner running. Michelle likes our house really cold, especially at night, and we're in the I'm in the bottom part of the house, and it gets really cold down here. But you can see the air conditioner, just that little bit of air moving has got these fibers just kind of moving, and that's what it'll do in the water. Now, if you want, some of these are a little long, you can come in here and you can just kind of just pinch them off with your fingers, just kind of pinch and pull, and get them to an even, more of an even length all the way around. I kind of like the wild look of it, the kind of crazy, different all over the place kind of deal. And then we're going to finish this up. I've got a little bit of hare's ear number 1. And for the guys that are not tying on the Nor-vise, I'll just show you if you're not, as you're learning, and you don't have to do and use all the techniques that we use, it still works like a regular vise. So I just got a little pinch of dubbing here, and we're just going to, that's a little bit too much. A little pinch of dubbing here, and we're just going to spin that dubbing on in the conventional way. I don't know why you would want to do that after you learn the way that we can do it on the vise, but you can do it that way. There's certainly nothing wrong with it. And now we're just going to fill in that space behind the eye. And there's my whip finisher. And I generally will do 2 3-turn whip finishes. That dubbing collar, you can do it. You can leave it off. Doesn't matter. It's all up to you. That's the beauty of tying your own flies. I like to do it because I think it gives it a little bit of a more of a finished look. I don't generally like to have 2 hot spots on the same fly. So if you got a hot spot back here, I don't like a hot collar up here. I think it confuses the fish sometimes. I think it just may be too much. But there is the blowtorch. So I love the dub with my Nor-vise. So it's 1:20 in Norway. Is that in the, I hope that's not in the morning. I hope you didn't stay up till after midnight to watch me, because we post these on Facebook so you can watch it tomorrow. I'm planning on going to the Virginia show, going to check you all out. We will be there. We'll be at our normal space right there on the corner with our 2 booths. Jim Bensinger, who's one of our ambassadors, who also owns Fiberflies Dubbing, will be right next to us. So if you've talked to us before at the Virginia show, we will be there as well. That actually is, that's the first show of the year. It's kind of, the schedules are kind of weird this year. So sometimes Virginia's first, sometimes Marlboro's first. This year, Virginia's the first one. So we'll have the new booth there. We're making some changes to the show booth this year, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be unveiling at least one of our new products at the Virginia show. So yeah, stop by. We'll be running some show specials. So, sorry, Dad. I said I hope you're not up till till after midnight watching, and he says sorry, Dad. So yeah, we'll be there. We love the Virginia show. Bo is a great show host. It's a great show. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. We're going to have a couple of our ambassadors. Jim Bensinger will be there. Fritz Miller will be there. Eric, I believe you pronounce his last name, Washafer, who was there last year. He will be there. So yeah, we'll have a strong Nor-vise presence there, and you can talk to all those guys. Currently driving through Missouri. Okay. Are you watching this while you're driving? Because I would encourage you to maybe pay attention to the road, but hey, to each his own. All right, so that's the blowtorch. Any questions on that? Let me know. I just bumped that camera. Okay. We'll go, what is it, 7:30? All right, we'll go right into the next pattern. This next one is a version of a pattern that, again, these are all go-to flies. This one is one of my all-time favorites, not necessarily in this configuration, but the original one is not a Euro style nymph. So what they did is they took the original style pattern and they adapted it to fit into this envelope. So this one is it's a version of the waltz worm. It's called a sexy waltz. So it's the same basic pattern. The original one only used two materials. It was lead, and there's a particular way that you wrap the lead to give it a cigar shaped body, and then over top of the lead was Here's Your Number One, and that was it. And it's meant to kind of duplicate or intimidate the crane fly larva. It could also, on a stretch, it could be a caddis larva, although it would be a big caddis, depending on what size hook you tie it on. But the crane fly larvae are big. They're big. It would be on usually maybe a size 8, like a 3 or 4 XL. It's a big fly. But this is one. It's kind of along those lines. A little bit less or a little bit more material, but a little bit smaller package. So this is called the Sexy Waltz. Oh, Big Mess is driving. I didn't realize that was you, buddy. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was you. What are you guys doing out in Missouri? That's Braden Messer, who is Shannon Messer, our ambassador's son. So I didn't recognize your name. Cool. Good to see you, bud. Or good to hear from you, I guess I should say. But yeah, glad that you're watching while Big Mess is driving. So, you guys out there fishing? I hope so. All right. So, first material that we're going to tie on this is going to be a rib. This is just pearl crystal flash. One strand. That's all you need. This is a super simple fly. We'll tie on. I guess most of you guys got the Constant Contact. We're a little bit behind on our lives. We had a bit of a kind of a little impromptu vacation. We were away for a few days, and then we had the Labor Day holiday, and that kind of got us off schedule. So that's why we're about 5 weeks on this deal, instead of our normal once a month, but we'll make up for it. All right, so I've got my crystal flash tied in, and then I'm just going to again use the vise to build up the underbody. And basically what I'm doing when I do this, I wish we were fishing on the way to Utah. Okay, well, what are you doing out in Utah? You fishing out there? And basically what I'm doing here is we're just wrapping up and down the shank of the hook, and then each time I just don't go back as far. So the first time I'll go all the way back, and then I may go, maybe a 1/16 of an inch shy, another 1/16 shy, another. And then by the time I'm done, that will build up my taper. And I promise one of these days I will reinforce this table so the camera's not bouncing quite as much. So there you can see we've got a nice taper. And again, don't go crazy with your taper, because you're going to put more material on it. So if you build this taper up to the size that you think is right, and then you put the material on over top of it, it's going to be too much. So just be aware, at this point you want this taper to be a little smaller than what you think you want to wind up with. Oh, your brother Alex is getting married. Okay, cool. Well, tell him I said congrats. I'm assuming you're an usher. So you're going to be standing there going, bride or groom? And then you got to walk, and then you're going to have to dance with a girl. I think Braden is 14 now. He's usually with us at the Atlanta show. Awesome kid. I love spending time with him. I love spending time with kids that you can have discussions with that are on the level of an adult. I love having intellectual conversations with young, I shouldn't say kids, I should say young men. Okay, so I've got a little bit of dubbing. This is hare's ear number 1, teased out. I am going to dub the Norvise way on this one. So we're spin the vise, touch the dubbing to the thread, move the dubbing to my right, and that's how we do a dubbing noodle on the Norvise. And I'm just going to keep moving to the right. I'm probably off camera right now. And there you go. That should be enough to get us what we need. Okay, I got more dubbing on my shirt than I do on the thread. So I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. So I'm just going to pinch the thread here right at the end of the noodle, spin the vise, and you'll see it's going to tighten that down and it's going to make those guard hairs pop, which is what we want. Okay, now I'm not going to let go here. I'm going to come underneath. I'm going to take my bobbin off the cradle. I'm going to work my way to the back of the fly, which is right here. And then we'll just start working our way forward. And we're doing wraps right next to one another, and then as I get up towards the eye of the hook, I'm going to use this to build my taper. I don't care that it looks messy. This fly is supposed to be messy. Okay, and you can see when you look underneath the guard hairs, you can see this taper that we've built, and that's exactly what we want. That's why you build that underbody with your thread. Throw a quick half hitch in there. Okay, go on the cradle. I'm going to grab this crystal flash. Now this stuff, the crystal flash is twisted, so you don't want to pull super tight on it because it'll kind of straighten it and kink it. All right, you want to put a little bit of pressure, but don't go crazy. We're going to navigate around the point of the hook, and we're going to set our angle, and we're just going to turn the vise, and we're going to walk this right up the body of the fly. And you can see that's going to give us a really good kind of bright undertone to the body of the fly. And then we'll come in here with our auto bobbin, 3 wraps behind, 3 wraps in front, and we'll come in here and we're going to clip this crystal flash out right flush to the body. Now this is another one where if you wanted to, and it's very popular to use pink thread on this one, and then build up a little bit of a pink hot spot right here behind the bead, and you can certainly do that if you want. That's again the beauty of tying your own flies, is you are the master of what happens. This is more of a muted brown thread, but like I said, pink would be perfectly acceptable at this point. This sexy waltz is, it could definitely represent the crane fly larva. This one, you're getting, the best part of doing this is teaching children to carry on our legacy. I agree 100%. Now we're getting down more into the size of what would be a caddis larva, so you're kind of pulling dual duty. This would be a really small crane fly larva, or your average size caddis, and you can tie these even smaller, or you can tie them bigger. We can come in here after we put that rib in, and this is just a little Velcro brush, and we can brush some of these guard hairs out, make this thing look good and messy, because that's what we want. That's what this fly is supposed to be, and that is an absolute stone hammer of a fly. The trout will just annihilate this thing, and that crystal flash just gives the underbody just enough. You could use wire, you could use gold wire, you could use copper wire, you could use hot pink if you want to do it with pink. But I like that crystal flash, the way it catches the light as this thing's rolling through through the water, gives it kind of an attractor kind of quality to it. Great, great fly. Attractor fly, match the hatch fly, go-to fly. I love this thing. So that's your sexy waltz. Any questions on that? Post them up. And we are at 7:45. We're going to try to keep these to an hour. That's good. That is Starbucks Blonde Espresso. I don't know. Michelle orders it for me. I just drink it, but that thing is good. Okay, next pattern. We got 2 more left here. This one, it seems like I'm saying this on every fly, but this one is my all-time favorite. I fish these things, particularly for trout, all the time. They work great on stock trout. They work great on wild trout. It is just a absolute killer of a pattern. Now bear with me here. I gotta switch threads because I didn't realize that I don't have any thread. I'll just pop this black one out. Check our direction, make sure we're going the right way. That is awful thick red thread. Hold on a sec. No. That's better. I don't know what that was. It looked like rod wrapping thread or something. That stuff was gigantic. Okay. There we go. It's kind of funny. I get people that aren't familiar with the bob, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to have to change the thread spools. It takes too long to change the thread spools." No, it really doesn't. Probably as fast as changing a Nor-vise thread spool as it is changing a thread spool on a standard bobbin. Okay, so we've got red. This is, I believe, I just grabbed this off the other tying bench, but I believe this is again, Semperfli Classic Waxed 6/0. And we're going to come back here to about the point of the hook, and I'm going to put at least one wrap around the leg of the bobbin. There we go. Tied up a 6-inch bucktail bulkhead on my vise. Nice. Okay. Red pheasant tail. The original pattern, I believe, calls for brown. I kind of like the look of the red, so we're going to go with red. Now, we're only using the pheasant tail fibers for the tail, so you don't need a really long clump like we did on the first fly, the Frenchie. So if you have a tail with some shorter fibers on it, this would be the time to use it. So I'm going to measure those up again from the eye to the point, which is right there. And we'll do a soft wrap, medium wrap, and a hard wrap. And again, if you do that right, it'll walk that right up onto the top of the shank of the hook. And I'm going to come back just a little bit because I didn't come back far enough. That's better. And and I'm going to spiral wrap this up because I want to use these fibers underneath just to give it a little bulk. That's all. We'll wrap it up to the to the eye, and then again we'll use that same. All of these flies, particularly nymphs, are going to have a tapered body to them. So you want to know that going in, and this is where having a vise that spins on center is a big help, because you can build your thread taper very, very quickly, just like that. Now we're going to come back to the middle. Oh, I don't know if I said the name of the pattern. This is this is called a Rainbow Warrior. It's a Lance Egan pattern. It is one of my go-tos. I think my buddy Ed is still on here. We were on a wild stream, and I always kind of thought this pattern, I had it tagged as like a stockfish catcher, just because it doesn't really emulate anything in the water. You know, I don't know that there's any nymphs or anything that are this color, but it's just a straight attractor pattern. And we were on a wild stream, and I wasn't doing so well, and Ed was having a good day, and I went down and he had one of these tied on, and he was doing well. So the body of this fly, we've got the tail in, which is red pheasant tail. The body is red thread with flashaboo wrapped over top. Now this is the saltwater flashaboo, so it's wider. It's like twice as wide as the regular flashaboo. I think this gives you a much better looking body. The regular flashaboo, in my opinion, is a little too thin to do this with. That's why I like the saltwater stuff. It just, in my opinion, it just wraps better. It gives you a better looking body, and it gives you an overall better looking finished fly. So we're going to tie that in, and we're going to go back to our tie-in point, right where our tail starts, and make sure that that's all good and covered up. A little bit of a low spot there. Now this is one where, like on that waltz worm, on the blowtorch, on the Frenchie, the body material, when you get your body on, if your underbody doesn't look great, it doesn't matter, because your body material is going to cover that up. This one, you're going to be able to see the body, the underbody, the thread through the body when you're done wrapping it. So this is where you want to take a little bit of extra time and have it look even. Don't have any low spots in it, any dips or anything like that. And it's just going to give you an overall better looking fly. And we'll just walk this right up the shank of the hook, and there you go. Nice and easy, beautiful, nice smooth body, nice underbody. You can see that you've got pearl flashaboo over top of red thread, and it gives it a kind of a, it's weird, and I don't know if it's coming through on the camera or not. It gives it kind of a goldish, kind of green hue to it, but there's, depending on how the light hits it, there's tons of different colors on here. Okay, so we've got our tail, we've got our body on, and then our dubbing is going to be, this is ice dub in a rainbow. The actual pattern calls for it's a UV scud dub, and they make it in two colors. Or it's a rainbow scud dub, and they make it in light and in dark. That stuff, for some reason, is getting hard to find, and I don't know why. So I kind of had to substitute this rainbow ice dub for it. This is a little darker than what I like, but it still gives it the same the same kind of effect. This is just a very colorful pattern. One thing with this particular color ice dub, the fibers are really long, so sometimes it can be a little hard to get this to grab onto the thread. But if you work with it, put it on, it'll do its thing. Remember, we're only doing a collar here, so you don't need to go crazy on the amount and the length of your noodle. And we'll just tighten this up like so. come underneath, take the cradle off, take the bobbin off the cradle, and roll that right up on to the fly. Okay, we're going to whip finish this off. And we'll come in here again and just kind of some of these, like I said, this fibers are really long. You can pull them or you can kind of pinch them off. I kind of walked it down the body a little bit. We can brush them out. We need to do a little trim here, little trim underneath there. There's that one crazy, there, I got him. And there you go, that's the Rainbow Warrior. And I have come to fish this fly pretty much all the time. Generally, if it's legal and I'm nymphing, I'm generally fishing 3 flies. And this one is usually one of them. I always like to have, if I'm fishing a 3 fly rig, I like to have one quote unquote attractor fly, one natural fly, and then the highest fly in the rig is going to be a soft tackle. And a lot of times my attractor fly is this one here. It catches fish all the time. So great pattern, Rainbow Warrior, great pattern from Lance Egan. Thank you for doing these, team. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming and watching. I really like that fly. I do too. Is that a homemade brush? No, this is a this is made by Stonefo, however you say it, the Italian company. It's got the hook Velcro on one end, and then it's got a comb on the other end. And I use this thing all the time, either the comb end or the brush end. So you can get them at I know Stockard has them in their catalog. Good tool to have on your bench. Okay, last pattern, 756. We're going to bring her home right at about 8 o'clock. So this one is if anybody's familiar with the flies, the series of flies that are called perdigons, and they are, I believe, they come from the French fly fishers, I believe. And basically what they are, they're usually very, very simple patterns, 1 or maybe 2 materials, and they're meant to sink and get down to the bottom very, very quickly. So if you had a riffle that maybe had like one little kind of deep spot in it, one little lie where a trout might be, but you got swift water all around it, you need, particularly if you're tight line nymphing or Euro nymphing or whatever adjective you want to throw on it, you got to get down quick because you don't have a lot of time to set up the drift, and then you throw it in and it doesn't sink, and it drifts over top of the fish. So these, they don't have a lot of material. They're very, very streamlined patterns. Typically they will have a tungsten bead, and they're meant to get down very quickly. So this is a Semperfli material. It's called Rainbow Thread. They make it in a light and a dark. Super cool material. Very, very easy to use. I just took this off the regular spool and spooled it on a Norvise aluminum spool just like you would any other thread. And what we're going to do here is we're going to tie this on. Lock my vise. Okay, and I've got one too many wraps around. Bobbin arm. I just pulled this out of my travel pack earlier. There we go. And we'll just lay down a little bit of thread. And you can see when that rolls on, it's all kinds of different colors. So this is a way cool pattern. This is one of mine, by the way. All right, so I've got that little piece of crystal flash that we used for the sexy waltz, and I'm going to double it over and cut it, and I'm going to double it over again and cut it, and then I'm going to fold that in around the thread, and we'll walk that right up on top. This is going to be our tail. There we go. This is a very loud pattern, by the way, and it was designed to be that way. All right, and then we're just going to cut this off. We're going to cut all of them off about right there. And that's our tail. Okay, now that tapering technique that we did for the past several flies, and you can see how that's going on, and it's changing colors. Now generally you would not tie this on a hook shank this big. I'm sure it will work. Generally these are going to be little flies on like a size 14 or maybe a size 16. You could definitely do it on a jig hook, but they would be short shanked hooks. And this is one where this is the fly. It's basically complete at this point. Okay, and what I love about these is no two of them are the same because of the way this this thread comes off of the spool. You'll have different colors. One of them will look more purple, one will look more blue, one will look more gold. It's just all the different colors in that thread and the way that it comes off of the spool. Now, a lot of these patterns, are you using a slotted bead? Yes, I am. Yes, I am using a slotted bead. Generally, when you're tying with a jig hook, you'll use a slotted bead to get it up and around the bend part of the jig so that it doesn't hang up. Now, a lot of with these style flies, this is actually Solar as bone dry. The label has come off, but what we'll do with this is we'll coat these with this UV acrylic, and what that does is, remember I said these are streamlined and they're designed to sink very quickly. This gives the fly a very smooth outside, makes them durable as all get out, but it makes them really smooth, and it makes them, I don't know if I'm using the right term, but streamlined, so to speak, so that they get down very quickly. And you can kind of put this stuff on, and then this is where your friction nut may come in. If you want to hold it in one place and let that glue get distributed around the shank of the hook, kind of let it flow naturally. And that's what's cool about acrylic, is until you hit it with the light, it won't harden. The other thing you can do is just take and slowly kind of spin the vise and use this as a rotary fly dryer, and just get that acrylic all around the fly evenly distributed. And then when you're ready, hit it with the torch, and that's it. And where is my, there it is. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's literally, that is hard as a rock, and that thing will sink like a stone because there's no, very, very different from the blowtorch. Again, great fly, but this has a lot of materials on it that will catch the water and will have a tendency to kind of push it up in the water column, where this one, being streamlined and being slick and smooth on the outside, it just plummets and sinks like a stone. So that's our last pattern. That's called the It's a peragon pattern. I haven't really named it yet. It's a fairly new pattern. Like I said, that's one of mine that I came out with a couple of years ago. And I just haven't named it. I don't know why I haven't named it yet, but I haven't named it. But there you go. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 patterns that we did. They're all, hey, Patrick Robinson, what's up, bud? I got you. I got you. I'm going to call you or I'm going to text you tomorrow. We're good. Just bear with me. So there's 5 patterns, all tied in the Euro style. I love these because you can fill your boxes with them. They're not very hard flies to tie. They generally don't have a lot of materials. Basically, these kind of come from the competition world where you're losing a lot of flies. They do a lot of tight line style nymphing in the competitions, and you're losing a lot of flies. So they've taken some tried and true patterns and kind of stripped them down. The Frenchie is a version of the pheasant tail, but they've taken some of the materials out. It works as well, if not better, but it's faster to tie. The Sexy Waltz is a waltz worm, but it's faster to tie. The Rainbow Warrior 3, 1, 2, 3 4 materials if you count the thread underbody. Super fast to tie. So you can fill your boxes with them. You can tie them very, very quickly. If you break a bunch of them off, which unfortunately, if you're nymphing and you're not losing flies, you're not doing it properly. You have got to be on the bottom, and you're going to lose flies when you nymph, and you have to know that and wrap your brain around that. So super fast to fill boxes, super fast to fill holes in boxes after a day's fishing, and super easy to tie. So there you go. There's a Euro crash course in Euro nymph type flies. I'll hang out here for a little bit if anybody has any questions. If you're not already subscribed to this new channel, go ahead and subscribe to it. We're posting 1 video a week. Typically it goes up on Friday. It's pretty much been mostly ambassadors up to this point. I've got to get in here and bang out some videos of my own so we can get those posted. We're going to be doing some live events at the shows this year. Every product that we unveil, our new product unveils, are going to be on this channel. So I would definitely recommend that you subscribe to it, and you'll get a notification when we go live or when we post something. And just tuned in, thank you. Great live, thank you. You're very welcome. Appreciate you guys coming in. And tell your friends about it. So yeah, hopefully you got something out of that. I'll just stand here or sit here and talk for a little while, finish up my Starbucks. Probably go upstairs and watch some TV. Michelle and I have been we've been going back and binge watching some series from years ago. So we're rewatching all of NYPD Blue, and we're in season 3, and that show is so good. So we'll probably knock out an episode or 2 of that tonight. So thanks for a cool live. Take care. Thank you for tuning in from Norway. That's awesome. So all right, I don't see anything else coming in, so I'm going to sign off now. Thank you guys for signing in. If you have any suggestions or things that you would like to see, or products that you would like me to demo while we're doing these lives, please feel free to reach out. I do have a list, and we'll start working our way through that list as time permits. We're going to keep these going up until show season, which is the first weekend in January. January through March, we will not be doing these live events. It's just too much. Last year, the month of, I believe it was February, the entire month of February, I slept in my own bed, I believe 4 nights the entire month of February. And that's not a complaint in any way, shape, or form. it's the nature of what we do. And I was talking earlier about the shows. We're on tap for another very robust show season, and we're just not home enough. So, yeah, I'm going to sign off now, and we'll do this again in about a month. So thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good week, and if you need anything, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.